By going to Configure and go to Clients, we can select a client and we can get properties on that client. When we get properties on the client, it's going to tell us a lot of very useful information about that specific machine. It'll tell us the name of the client, it'll tell us what platform it is, whether it's Linux or Windows or Macintosh. It'll tell us the version of the client that appears on that machine. It'll tell us that the password is set, that the status is currently not connected, and it'll give us some information about the connection speed between the client machine and the backup computer. We also have an option down here for encrypt network link. This is what we call link encryption, and it will encrypt the data on the client machine before it's transferred to the backup server. The refresh button will force a connection to the client and report to you the current connection speed between the backup computer and the client machine. The Access tab allows us to change how Retrospect is connected to that client. If we click Change, we can go in and we can log in a client using the multicast method, we can log in a client using subnet broadcast, or we can use the direct entry method. The direct entry method allows us to type in a very specific IP address, a DNS name, or a WINS name. If you were to type in a specific IP address, and the IP address of that machine were to change, Retrospect will report an error message saying that computer is no longer visible on the network. In an ideal environment, you want to use the subnet broadcast or multicast methods. It is not unusual for some network administrators to be blocking either subnet broadcast or multicast. You want to make sure that port 497 is open, subnet broadcast is open, UDP is open, and the multicast methods are open also. If you have your network administrator open up all of those network protocols, you should have no problem accessing machines on the network. If you do not see a machine that you're looking for, you can actually click the test button down below and you can type in the IP address of the machine, and then Retrospect will go out and look for that IP address. Going back to the previous window, we were looking at the access method. So if we wanted to change the access method, all we would need to do is choose subnet broadcast, Retrospect will look for the machines on the network. Once you've located the machine that you want to access, just go ahead and select it and click OK. Retrospect will then communicate with that machine over the new connection method. As we can see, it no longer says direct entry, it now says subnet broadcast. The Tools menu gives us some additional options. From within the Tools area, we can click on Rename and we can type in a different name for that client. So if the machine has been given to a new user, you can type in a new username so that it matches the person that actually uses that computer. You can also change the client password. So if the client has already been logged in, you can click Set Password and you can type in a new password for that machine. You can synchronize the clocks by using the Sync Clock option. We also have the ability to update clients across the network. By clicking on the Update button at the bottom, Retrospect will ask us to choose a Retrospect client update file. So what we can do is we can navigate to the Retrospect application folder under Program Files. And then we go to the Dance folder, and there's a Retrospect 7 folder. Inside there is a Retrospect Client Updaters folder. Inside there you can find client update files for your operating system for that client. In this case, we're going to select Macintosh, and inside there is a .rcu file. By selecting that file, we can push a new version of the client across the network to that machine. This will be a seamless process. The user will not know that the client software has been updated over the network. This saves a lot of time for the network administrator. Under the Volumes tab, we can go ahead and we can see what disks appear on that machine. In this case, the computer only has one disk. We can also change some of the options. Client Desktop tells Retrospect to look for any disk that is mounted on the desktop. Startup disk tells Retrospect to only back up the startup disk on that machine, or selected volumes allows us to choose specific disks on the machine in order to back up just those items.